Welcome back, it's Rich, and in this episode, Rich reviews my 5 best and my 5 most disappointing movies of 2023. Let's do it. Welcome back to Rich Reviews, no-nonsense movie chat from the UK. So 2023, a year of some great films, some surprises and some not so great. Today I'm focusing on my 5 favourite films of 2023, not the critics' choices, not the ones that got the biggest reviews. These are my favourite, and together with my 5 most disappointing. These aren't necessarily the worst films of the year, just the dreaded, lame and disappointing feeling ones. So kicking off at number 5 with my most favourite has to be Evil Dead Rise. I'm really surprised by this one too. I love the original Sam Raimi Evil Dead movies, even the Ash vs Evil Dead TV series too. So another movie all these years later was great news for me. But would it be a watered down 15 rating that so many horror films get nowadays? No, this was a straight up rough, violent and downright nasty film on all areas, with a great and relatively unknown cast, which I think works best for these type of films, together with a new setting, being inside a city and confined to a skyscraper, rather than the typical cabin in the woods in previous films. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. I'd go so far to say that it's more fun than outright scary, but nonetheless, it felt like an Evil Dead film. It really did. And on a 12 million budget too, did near 150 million worldwide. So fingers crossed that we get another one of these too. It had some great inventive ideas, great visuals, and some face-twisting, pain-feeling moments. It made me sit on the edge of my seat the whole way through. Absolutely fantastic. At number 4, we get Creed 3, directed this time by Michael B. Jordan himself and co-starring Jonathan Majors as the awkward old friend from Adonis's past, Damien Anderson. It's a great story and another great entry into the Rocky Creed franchise, and it sees some superb camera work in the ring itself and a villain that has genuine reason to be annoyed with our champ Adonis Creed. Damien and his dream of being world champion, but then landing himself in prison after taking the rap for his friend Adonis, only for Adonis to grow and become the champ himself and never visiting Damien at all while he was inside in prison. That awkward friendship is so well acted between our two leads that it makes for uncomfortable but compelling viewing, especially when Majors is talking with people like Creed's wife and daughter too, and being inside his house. The fighting style of Majors is rough and more street-like than Adonis, and it's got a more kind of inside the ring camera technique, and it gives us a real feeling of kind of being there. It's not up there with my favourites, Rocky 4 and Creed 2, but nonetheless a great entry into my favourite franchise of all time, and a great film in 2023 for me. At number 3, we have a very controversial one, as there's literally tens of thousands of people that absolutely hate this film. But there's also a lot that like it. But here goes. We have The Flash. I absolutely love the character of The Flash. And while not being the biggest fan of Ezra Miller's version and preferring the Grant Gustin version from the TV show, I still went into this film with a ridiculously high-level excitement for me. So it could have been easy to disappoint. And I do stress, for me, but it really paid off. And I absolutely get why it won't with so many people. Yep, there are loads of bad, abysmal and atrocious CGI scenes, but I can kind of look past that. For me, it was the emotion and the thread of the story that really make it, with the drive for Barry Allen to prove his father's innocence and the ending sequences showing some of the other DC characters, and especially Christopher Reeve, and the scene with the mother in the supermarket and the genuine upset on Barry's face knowing that he can't save her, or that he shouldn't save her, more like, with the tears. These moments, not the Keaton return as Batman or other stuff, were what resonated strong with me and my life experiences. So I came out feeling blown away by the emotion of the story and a tear on my face. And that is very rare for me, especially in a comic book kind of film. Sometimes it's how you relate stories to your own personal life experiences that can truly make a film special for you. And yet, and I mean absolutely nothing to the other people, that is why it works for me and it's in my top 5. But I get why so many wouldn't like it. But for me, this was one of my number 1 films of 2023. But I'm putting it at number 3. At number 2, we have Godzilla Minus One, a late entry into 2023 and one that I was curious about following the hype on the internet building about such a low-budget, Japanese-only film, fully subtitled, and also up against the mega big-budget Hollywood Godzilla films that I think most people are probably now a bit bored of. So why in the hell would anybody be interested in this one? Well, the hype just kind of kept rolling and building, and it got me curious as to why it was gaining so much traction. But man, what a mega film this was. This delivers in so many ways, but essentially, what has been achieved in a 15 million budget compared to probably around 200 million is just simply staggering. And the characters and emotion of this film are just fantastic in terms of filmmaking. It's very serious. It's not fun at all. There's no Mr. President giving orders to save the day. It's just raw, rough people trying to stay alive while already rebuilding from the complete disaster of World War II and dealing with PTSD, family loss, and so much more. It's a monumental achievement to create such a film like this, especially in a saturated market. I think this is one for serious film lovers though, but it's one that surprised me the most in 2023. So before I reveal my number 1 best film of 2023, if you like what you see today, don't forget to check out my other videos. Feel free to like, follow my channel for free, and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. So finally, in my top slot, without any doubt as well, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The last of the Guardians films as we know it, and a kick-ass trailer promising just that, with a sinking feeling that this is the end of the team, and for some, maybe even certain death. Prior to this, the Guardians have shown up in 2 solo movies and many MCU films, so the bond with the ever-lovable character roster was so strong to many fans that there was a huge amount of emotional weight and a sense of dread going into this. With the exception of Adam Warlock that's introduced, and by all accounts, not a great character and fairly pointless. The story, though, of how Rocket came to be was easily one of the most intriguing and emotional storylines of any MCU film. The amount of feelings and sadness I felt when watching a CGI raccoon and his CGI animal friends was unbelievable. We have Layla, Floor, Teeth, and Rocket absolutely blinding the audience with feelings as we see their early lives and cruelty unfold to a point that you feel so sad for Rocket, and this just enhances the mountain of dread as the film moves along that he's not going to make it due to the feeling of just having enough life, being battered down for years, and prompting the one last timeline to the fellow Guardians as they move into battle. It's a real sense of dread. The film features a great villain with the high evolutionary and a perfect story that brings full closure to everyone, with each having their own arcs and endings told in a profound manner. The relationship struggle between Peter and Gamora is gut-wrenching as you wish for her to just see Peter in the old way. We've seen it, Peter's seen it, but she hasn't because she's a different version, and it's heartbreaking to watch. It's a perfect end to the best team of heroes in the MCU, and though things will continue with a different bunch of Guardians and Star-Lord 2 returning, things will never quite be the same again, and we all knew that walking out. Again, I had to fight back some tears watching this. It's very rare for me, and most of that is due to CGI talking animals. Who knew that a sarcastic raccoon could be so meaningful? So that's my favourite selection of 2023's movies, but what about the ones that disappointed me the most? Remember, these are not the critics' choices or even audience-rated worst films. These are the ones that I wanted to like so much for various reasons, but came away feeling disappointed. It doesn't mean they're bad films. This is like the old high school teacher saying to you, you're not a bad kid, you're just disappointed. It's the worst line. So without any more delay, at number 5, we have Barbie. This is a film that had probably taken $1 billion before I ended up even watching it. I was late with this one, but I had friend after friend and family members stressing, oh, you've got to watch this, Rich. And after reading so many positive reviews and YouTube videos, I just couldn't escape it forever. So I decided to go for it and watch it. Admittedly, at that point then, with some excitement, thinking, I think I'm probably going to actually like this. And I assumed that I may even walk out being mildly blown away by it too and ultra surprised. But man, I wasn't. What a disappointment. I genuinely really wanted to witness something great and like this film, but I found it super cheesy, as I expected it to be, but just way too far. It just didn't click with me at all, and I didn't like the reactions, especially in the real world, the Mattel board of directors, because they knew about the Barbie world and wanting to send her back in a kind of life-size teleportation box. Yet everyone else in the real world are acting like real people in real life, and that just doesn't make any sense at all. It completely took me out of the film. Maybe I just didn't get this one, but it just left me feeling super disappointed. It's not a bad film. I was just really underwhelmed by something I was so sure that I would enjoy. At number 4, we have Wonka. This is a film I recently gave a review on this channel, 3 out of 5. And I went to this with big excitement and the nostalgia too of having grown up with the Gene Wilder version and also enjoying the Tim Burton Johnny Depp version too. I like the look of the trailers, and I'm always open for new, fresh actors to take on lead roles when there's kind of no choice. It's got to be something new now moving forward, and I accept that kind of change. And also Timothée Chalamet himself as Wonka, and to be fair, he did not disappoint at all. He was great, but the film itself and the majority of the other actors felt like some pantomime stage play with very forced and over-exaggerated dialogue, together with many more musical numbers that I expected. For me, I felt like I was watching a full-on musical West End show with song after song and actors trying to project their voices in a comedic fashion to an audience sat there live rather than watching an actual film. I was super disappointed and I came out with the worst feeling you can have with a film, of it not being bad or good, just meh, middle of the road, added with disappointment. I know that so many people love this one too, but for me, it just didn't work, and it's such an irritating shame because I really wanted it to be great. It was good, but it was just disappointing. And at number 3, we have The Marvels. It's a film for me that is really important because I'm a big Marvel MCU fan. I've been watching all these films on their opening night on IMAX for every single one. I buy the Blu-rays on release day, 3D, 4K, everything. I put a lot of time and money in. So this has got to work, and it's got to be great within the context of the other films. And I knew going in, though, that I probably wouldn't rate this too well, but I still wanted to be surprised. Most solid fans weren't wanting another Captain Marvel film, let alone one about 3 Marvel characters, of which some are from TV shows that you might not even have seen too. I expected this not to be too good, but I also wanted so much of it to be great and smack me in the face with a big wallop so that I'd walk out thinking, man, that was way better than I expected. However, it delivered roughly what I did expect. It was more fun than I thought it would be, and it was a better film than Captain Marvel too, but it was still just really average and a bit of a mess all over, so it just left me ultimately super disappointed and feeling let down as this long-time Marvel fan that invests so much time and money into these films. At number 2, though, we have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the 5th outing for Harrison Ford as our whip-cracking archaeologist, and one that after his performance in Star Wars The Force Awakens, I hoped would be equally as good. I thought he was great in that. He felt like old Han Solo. I thought it was really good. Even if not fantastic, I still wanted this to be a great final outing for someone that I grew up with and have a great fondness for in these older films. I know he's old now, but I still clung on to the hope. And again, what an average film and disappointment. It's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for me, but only just. Why they made him a recluse alcoholic in some crummy apartment, divorced, miserable and grumpy, it's just not the same character for me. The film just fell flat and didn't provide anywhere near the same level of classic excitement that I hoped it would. It is filled with ridiculously super disappointing CGI as well, and even though the opening 20 minutes I thought was great, some of it wobbly effects, but it was still really good to see that. You got then the small cues of the classic music, even the font of the opening text on screen. It was all falling into place. But then we have massive CGI over scenes and pretty much the whole rest of the film landed awkwardly. And so we have another not terrible, but not great and very disappointing film from a series that I wanted to end on such a high. But alas, it was just super average, and that's the worst for me. And finally, another important film to me in the Marvel Universe, for all the reasons I said before, and that was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This film promised so much from Marvel. They stated and quoted it so many times, it was referenced so many times. This is the start of Phase 5 and touted as being one that would really shake up the whole Marvel Universe, and it's paramount to the entire MCU franchise and stories moving forward. Everything was there for it. Only it wasn't. It wasn't any of that. Instead, we got a massively unfinished CGI fest with a good villain but otherwise very average, same old MCU film. It was alright, but that's so disappointing when I expected something just groundbreaking. We also got MODOK, who I think is a really cool character, but not in this. He looks absolutely ridiculous. The CGI of his face was just unbelievable. I can't even believe that got passed. I mean, just look at the effects of someone now like Davy Jones from, whatever years ago that was compared to this. It's just insane. He was also nothing like Darren Cross from the first Ant-Man film. It's the same guy, but it was just completely different in personality. I just didn't buy into that at all. I kind of had fun with it, but it's just not the film that I expected. And I was so disappointed that Marvel didn't deliver on something that was stressed to be groundbreaking to the MCU. It turned out to be kind of just another string of the poorer Marvel films that now get so many people wondering what the next one will be like. That wasn't the case some year ago. You pretty much guaranteed it was just going to be another hit. So as the worst compliments go in life, Marvel, you're not bad, you're just disappointing. So that's my best and most disappointing of 2023, and I stress, these are my best or worst. These are the ones that I wanted to like but got let down by. So what's your best or worst of the past year? Leave a comment below. But until next time, keep smiling, peeps.